Welcome to the tnAchieves Virtual Community Service webinar. These webinars are designed to provide you, Tennessee Promise students, with an opportunity to learn more about college success tips, careers in your potential field of study, and other topics we think you will find interesting while you are navigating your educational journey. These webinars will also help you complete your community service requirement while it may be difficult for you to do so at this time. A few housekeeping details before we get started. By logging in as a tnAchieves student, we are able to track your attendance and how long you remain actively engaged during the webinar. Once you complete the webinar, you will automatically be given credit for 1 hour of community service. We will track how long you watch, and if you do not watch the webinar in its entirety, you will not receive credit. You do not need to complete the community service form for these webinars. tnAchieves will log your hours for you. tnAchieves staff and partners across the state are providing important insight and information we think you will find entertaining and informative. We hope you enjoy this new series of webinars. Welcome to the tnAchieves Virtual Community Service webinar series, where today we are talking about careers in sports. We have a really exciting panel today coming to us from very different fields, all inside the field of sports. We have Ashley Stokely, who's the Stadium Events and Experience Director for the Tennessee Titans, Kyle Clayton, who's the Vice President of Operations for the Nashville Predators, and Baylor Nicole Love, who's the Partnership Activation Manager for the Tennessee Smokies. I want to thank all three of you guys for being here today.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Ashley, why don't we start with you? If you would like to just tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, where you went to college, what degree, or some of you may have more than one degree, what degrees you have, and a little bit about your career.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm born and raised in Nashville, and I absolutely love it, but I never thought I would still be here. I always wanted to go to New York or LA and try to be on MTV or be Oprah. Like, I had all these crazy aspirations of doing things like that. And I thought, well, I'll go to college and do broadcasting journalism. So I went to Western Kentucky University, which is an hour outside of Nashville. I heard they had a great broadcasting program, and they definitely did. I started right away my freshman year of college at the college radio station and the college news station. And through that, fell in love with all things sort of entertainment. I realized quickly I didn't love news, but that I liked the production value, being behind the scenes, putting things together for an end product that entertained the masses. Not that college was the masses, but that was kind of where that idea got planted, where I wanted to be involved in something, huge, but it would take, it definitely takes a village. So doing radio and television in college led me to an internship in radio, which turned into a job that actually I've taken on for about 15 years, which was great as a part-time radio DJ. But then right out of college, I started at a TV production company where we produced music television. I did a lot for MTV, CMT, PBS, all the networks, and doing live music, and fell in love with that right away. And I was a production coordinator there, again, behind the scenes, producing television. And that was awesome. And that led me into the network that was live events and entertainment. And I've met my former boss at the Nashville Predators through that job in television. And one day he was looking for an event manager for the Bridgestone Arena. And I, at the time, was ready to kind of make a shift into live events and concerts. So it was perfect timing, really, and lucked out, and that turned into an amazing opportunity. I was with the Preds in the arena for 6 years, and then most recently, this past November, had an opportunity with the Tennessee Titans that sort of came out of nowhere. I wasn't looking, and the opportunity presented itself to me, where they were creating a new department called Stadium Experience. And it just kind of fell in place there. It was really hard to leave the Preds, but this has been a really great opportunity thus far, and it's forever changing, as you can imagine, with kind of everything going on.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much for sharing that. Kyle, what about you? Where are you from? Where'd you go to school, degrees, and a little bit about your career, please?
Yeah, so I'm also a Tennessee native. I grew up in Columbia, which is not too far south of Nashville. Upon graduating high school, I went to Tennessee Tech over in Cookeville. It's a great engineering school, but I'm not an engineer by any stretch. I got my degree in economics. While I was there, I got an internship opportunity with the Predators organization to be in their accounting department. So I did that my junior year of college. And upon graduating, I didn't have anything lined up. I was one of those folks that moved back home, sat in my parents' living room and job searched every day, sat there for about 3 months, and finally was able to land a position with the Preds to go back into their accounting department. So that was great. And then fast forward 12 years, and here I am. My role has changed several times within the organization, but we have a great policy to try to promote from within, and I feel like I'm a living, breathing example of that. It's been a lot of fun. I met a lot of great people along the way, such as Ashley. She's been a great friend for several years now, and really just continue to grow within the organization. Something I'm excited about, and really just a easy, reasonable local guy that manages in common sense, essentially.
Great. Thanks so much for sharing, Kyle. Baylor, what about you?
So I am not a native Tennessean. I actually grew up just north of Seattle in a town called Bothell and wanted to get as far away from there as I could. So I went to Southern California when it was time for me to start college. I went to Whittier College, which is down near LA. And I also got a degree in economics. And how I got into sports was kind of a little interesting in that we had to do a paper in the major as part of the requirement there. It's a small liberal arts school. And I was speaking with my advisor, just really not sure what topic I wanted to, spend a semester delving into. And he's like, well, I know you love baseball. And at the time, the book Moneyball had just come out, not the movie, but the book. And he goes, well, why don't you read this book and see if you think you could maybe do a paper on the baseball labor market. So I did that, and I ended up doing a paper on the baseball labor market. And he's like, well, now that you've done that, you ought to get a job in baseball. And so after my junior year of college, I did an internship with an independent minor league baseball team in Lincoln, Nebraska called the Salt Dogs. And I ended up doing more on the, instead of the baseball business side, which I could which I could do some of because they were independent. I did more on the ticket sales and promotion side of things. And I was like, this is a trip. I'm having a blast, and I got to figure out a way to do this every day. So I went back to California, finished my senior year of college, and decided during that time I was going to look for jobs in baseball. Have had several different experiences, both in minor league baseball, affiliated teams, not affiliated teams. Worked for the LA Dodgers for a little bit, and just started working my way east. And about 9 years ago, got an opportunity to work for the Tennessee Smokies. I started out in their ticket sales department, was there for about 3 years. Transitioned over into their corporate sales department for a year, and really sort of made a name for myself with the president, and the person who was the director of corporate sales at that time is now our vice president. With what I was doing on the customer service side of the corporate packages I was selling. And that's where I sort of developed the position that I'm in today and the role that I'm in today. I knew that other teams had people doing what I was doing, and it was what I was most passionate about. And I've been fortunate that since 2015, I've been in the same role and love my job, love going to work every day.
Great. Well, I appreciate all three of you sharing a little bit about your experiences and for being here today to talk more about your professional experiences for students that are interested in doing something similar to what you do. Kyle, why don't we start with you this time? Why don't you tell us a little bit about the organization, opportunities that might exist for students as they're graduating, and maybe kind of what exists for students with a high school diploma versus an associate's degree, bachelor's degree, what might be available to them?
Yeah, absolutely. So just to clarify, so the Nashville Predators Holdings organization actually owns the hockey club itself. We own the management agreement for Bridgestone Arena, and then we operate Fordyce Center Antioch and Fordyce Center Bellevue, and we also have our own foundation. So there's several companies under our umbrella, and obviously that just means more and more opportunities. So, when you're talking about somebody coming straight out of high school, or maybe you're in high school and you need part-time work or anything like that, we have lots of opportunities related to our event night staff. So on an event night, we have hundreds of employees that are making sure that building is operating as it should be, whether you're in concessions, whether you're in housekeeping, whether you're in operations. There's plenty of work available, or ushering, things like that. There's plenty of work available for anybody and everybody, even with just a high school diploma. And same thing over at our Fort Ice centers, whether it's just maintenance techs, whether you're making the front desk, different opportunities like that for sure. We also have a very robust internship program. So maybe you're in college and you're looking to get your foot in the door with a different company and things like that. We probably on a given semester have anywhere from 50 to 60 interns that are part of our organization, and they're right there beside us every event, every day, doing what we do. They're learning behind the scenes, and again, it's a great opportunity. And then once you have that college degree coming in, everybody wants to get into sports, and really the best way to get your foot in the door is just keep banging down that door. Several opportunities that we have right out of the bat are on our sales side. We always have a group of sales guys and gals, and that's an easy way to get your foot in the door. Also on our, again, operations staff and in our Fort Ice centers. There's a lot of opportunity. As a sports team, I'm sure everyone on this panel will agree that there's a lot of turnover for several positions, and it's one of those, we encourage people to get your foot in the door and make a name for yourself, right? Don't just be the person who sits at your desk and just does your one little job. On an event night, get out, meet everybody, talk to our fans, talk to the patrons that are in the building, and just, learn as much as you can, just soak it all in and just be known that way. Again, we love to promote from within, so everyone's going to know your name, and when a new opportunity comes on board, your name will be at the top of the list, even if you're working as a salesperson, but you really want to be in accounting, or you want to be in game night presentation or something like that. We really just encourage getting your foot in the door and trying to make a difference and making a name for yourself for sure.
And to chime in on that too, Kyle touched on some really good points and things that really kind of stick with me. I think a lot of times, it's so easy in sports and entertainment to only see kind of, big picture, see the shiny stars that are out there in the job descriptions and things like that. But I would never discredit, to Kyle's point, right out of high school, you go and get a part-time job at any type of facility. That experience, it speaks leaps and bounds to anything, because those little intricate parts of operation, stadium, arena, no matter what type of facility you're in, that role is equally as important as the GM role, equally as important as vice president, equally as important as a player on the field and artist on the stage, because without that one person, you can't put on the show. You can't entertain the people. And I think that that's very important to remember, that you're not just, working a game night in a box office. You're not just an usher in the stands. You are a part of the game experience. And without you, that can't happen. So I think that understanding that no matter what role you play is important, and that experience is definitely something to promote about yourself. And to Kyle's point too, if you are, you're the salesperson in a role, don't just be sales. If you don't take time to learn what other people are doing or understand the importance of different departments, then you won't understand that. And you will, but you won't be as marketable and not as I'm not sure what word I'm looking for, but I just think that you're more marketable, and you have more of an understanding when you actually wrap your head around all of it and not just your one specific path.
Yeah, just to piggyback on that again as a personal example. So I started as just the arena accountant. So when I was fresh out of college, got my first job with them, and my job was really just to settle the concerts at the end of the night. And what that means is I was there for 7 hours waiting for all the information to come in and actually sit down with the promoter and do the settlement. So in those 7 hours, instead of just sitting there and waiting or watching the show, I was out meeting all of our staff, anybody that was also there working on an event night, such as Ashley or someone like that, and really just develop those relationships and that trust. So as I got more and more responsibility, I started being responsible for the budgets for the arena. I already had those relationships with all these department heads because they saw me there every single night. They saw me putting in the work and being interested in what they were doing and understanding their department. So it really just groomed me and allowed me to learn the business that much quicker and put me in a place to succeed as I got more opportunities put in front of me.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice from both of you guys. I think one of the things we've heard across these webinars is that there's a couple things you can control, right? You show up, you have a good attitude, you work hard, and those are the kind of things that are going to get you noticed. I think both of you guys really just kind of touched on that in some very real life examples there. Baylor, what about you? What type of opportunities are available for students that are graduating or even before that may be interested in getting into baseball?
So similar to what Kyle suggested, if you're in high school or just graduated from high school, we always need good people on our game day staff, from ticket takers to concession workers, ushers. They are so valuable, especially at the minor league level, where our office is not even 30 full-time people. So there's no way that the 30 of us could run an event with 5,000 people, which is about our average weekend crowd at a Smokies game. So our front lines are our game day staffers. And to go back to what Kyle said, that first experience that you have and getting those first experiences showing that you're interested in a career in sports is so important. I don't know that I would ever hire somebody in minor league baseball who had never worked in the sports for a full-time in the sport for a full-time opportunity, because it's so different and the hours are so crazy and the different things that you might be expected to do on any given day are so just varied. Getting that first experience as a game day person or as an intern is critical to, I think, full season development, especially if you're looking at careers in minor league sports, because it's not just going to an office and auditing a bank statement and then going home at 5 o'clock. Even if you're in, an accounting department in a minor league baseball team, and if you're in minor league baseball, your accounting department is you and maybe one other person. As far as, if you're in college or if you're about to graduate from college, every year we hire about 10 interns. And I honestly tell people, if you think you want to work in sports, get an internship. That will answer all the questions you need to know, because like I just said, and especially minor league sports is so much different than a major league operation. You do so many different things and wear so many different hats in one day. I may start my morning at 9 a.m., walk in, notice it's starting to rain, pull the tarp, go up to my office, sort through pictures from the game from the night before and send them out to clients. And then later that afternoon, I'm preparing a proposal for a new client, and I end the evening by handing out magnet schedules at the gate. It's a ride. It's a trip. And so get some experience doing that. And like Kyle said, make a name for yourself in anything you do anywhere.
Yeah, you get to do a little bit of everything. It's part of working in a small nonprofit. We get to wear a lot of hats. So all of you work in a field where we all see the games. We know what that looks like. I've been to a Predators game. I've been to a Titans game. I've been to a Smokies game. I imagine our students listening have been to some type of sporting event. We know what that looks like. Ashley, why don't you talk to us a little bit about what's going on behind the scenes? And then your job is to make sure that fans are having a good experience. So it's not even so much about the product on the field, but why is that important to the Titans? And I guess the question, why do you have a job?
Well, I think Baylor actually painted a really good picture. There are so many things that are happening before you ever open the doors, and it truly just never stops. While the teams are out there on the field, you have to make sure that concessions are up and running, that people are showing up to clean the building, that, the ticket scanners are working at every entrance, that the parking lots are ready to go, that the seats are clean, that your ticket sales folks are in place to answer questions for the season ticket holders that are coming into the building. There's so many moving parts. And if one of them is off, then the whole experience, not to overuse that words, but it truly is, that a whole experience kind of gets just dropped off. If you have you're at a Preds game, you're at a Titans game, and you could have the best time, but all of a sudden you get a chicken sandwich, your chicken sandwich is uncooked, and guess what you're talking about for 6 months after that? Wow, remember I was at a game and I got that really terrible chicken sandwich and no one was there to help me to get me a new chicken sandwich. And that seems so small, but that's the takeaway. The takeaway isn't, oh my goodness, the Preds just advanced to the next round in the playoffs. Oh my goodness, the Titans are one step closer to Super Bowl. It's, hey, I had a really terrible food experience, and that's what we're going to talk about. That's what we're going to put on Twitter. That's what we're putting on Facebook, and it's basically downhill from there. So it's making sure that all the entities are buttoned up. It's hard to describe just a game day because you kind of don't know what to expect. I've always, my time at the Preds and now coming over to the Titans, at the Preds, I had more of an opportunity planning on the front end. I'm doing a different type of planning now, but no matter what type of planning, you can plan so much and you get to that game day. And at that point, it's truly about how you react to certain things, because inevitably something is not going to fire the right way. And you and your team have to be on standby and respond appropriately so that whatever you are doing behind the scenes isn't seen, to the patrons and the folks that are coming in. And so it really is an all hands on deck motion to make sure that everything goes off very well. It's I'm thinking about it, and I'm kind of stepping on myself because I'm thinking through all the different experiences at Preds games, concerts, and now football games. And truly, it's hard to describe because there's so much going on.
Yeah, I'll piggyback on that one. So like Ashley said, I think the biggest, most important piece of the whole thing is being prepared, right? So we have constant meetings, we have weekly meetings, and then we have, certain type of event meetings, and really just to make sure our entire staff is on board and ready to go and everyone's, on the same page. And then, like I said, it's great you have all these plans, but then you got to be prepared to react. I think that's one of the things that our staff does better than probably anybody in the industry is being able to react to certain situations, whether it's, certain issues with the artist, or they're going on late, or they want to go early, or there's a power outage or a flicker or something like that, or whether it's just our fans, certain ones have issues with certain tickets, or Ticketmaster goes down, or different things like that. You just got to be able to read and react. And luckily we have several folks on our staff that have been there quite a while and they've seen almost everything. And so they're very seasoned and know how to react to those things. But also we have a lot of new, fresh faces, and they come with new ideas and new abilities to react. So it's definitely a great balance that we have in that regard. A couple of things that kind of make our building special is, and Ashley knows this far better than I probably do, is we are so good at flipping our building. So we're notorious for having, concerts the night before a hockey game. So, the show will load out and we've got to flip that building and get it ready for hockey the next morning, because the guys are going to show up to do their morning skate at 8:00 in the morning. And so that ice has got to be ready and the building's got to be cleaned and ready to go. And then throughout the day, we're flipping the rest of the building, make sure it's clean and prepped and ready for another 17,000 fans to come in for a hockey game. So that's truly one of those fun experiences that we have. And, we do that countless times throughout the year. We are the 6th busiest concert building in the U.S. the past couple of years. I think it's been 2 or 3 years in a row that we've been number 6. And obviously we host 41 regular season hockey games and hopefully some playoff games in there as well. So it's a lot of fun and definitely not a dull moment in that building.
Kyle, we were in a meeting together and your boss was there presenting, and he talked about how it was obviously more than one person, but people on your staff, it's their job to make sure, and you may have to correct me on this exactly, but that their goal is that someone welcomes you to the arena at a hockey game within like the first 30 seconds or something that you walk through the door. Like, why is that so important?
So we're very, keen on engaging our customers, and especially our season ticket holders, but also the people that have just come there for the first time. And so we have our normal security when you walk through. We have your ushers and your ticket takers and all that. But then our full-time staff, whether you have a direct responsibility that night or not, if you're in the building, our push is for you to be at those main doors, just greeting our fans, just saying hello, just welcome them to the building, presenting yourself, not asking if they have questions, but just being an open dialogue and be willing to answer anything they may have, or really, again, just to say hello. And it's one of those, again, we just value our patrons so much. We just want to make sure they're going to have a great time. Actually, in the past couple of years, we started arming them with, we call them golden moments. So it's a goodie bag. It's a coupon for a popcorn or a soda or something like that. And again, it's just a nice surprise factor to have someone when they come in the door and just say, hey, we recognize you, we appreciate you, and here's a little token of our gratitude. But really, it's just to say hello and just to be a face and welcome them to their home, essentially, because we wouldn't have the positions that we're in, we wouldn't have these awesome jobs if it weren't for all these fans that show up to all these events. So that's really our mindset there.
Yeah.
And to bring that full circle, if you think about it, if you don't have that, you're not selling tickets. I mean, now granted, there are hardcore fans that I don't want to say they don't care what's happening, outside of the field, outside of the ice, but they do care. And we hear about it. Kyle has heard about it. I have heard about it, both Preds, Titans. I mean, our fans are paying attention to what is happening outside of just the game experience. And I think that that's important because, there are going to be seasons where the teams aren't doing well and people aren't going to want to come. But if they know that they can rely on stepping away from the real world for 90 minutes, however long, to go and just have a great time at these facilities, I mean, you're going to keep buying your tickets and you're going to keep showing up and you're going to keep buying your popcorn. And obviously, as much as we want to entertain people, we also want to make money. So all of these, all the time and effort that we put into greeting people and goodie bags and things like that, at the end of the day, it's going to sell a ticket as well.
And in minor league baseball, it is 100% about the experience. Tennessee Smokies, all of our players were affiliated with the Chicago Cubs. So the Chicago Cubs are the ones who decide who's going to be playing on the field that day. We don't get a say in it. We can't say, well, our fans really do like Chris Bryant, so could you send him back to us for a little bit? They don't care. And at Smoky Stadium, we fancy ourselves the friendliest ballpark in America. It's a lofty goal to live up to. But for us, if people ask, well, what do the Smokies do? I say, well, first and foremost, we're an entertainment company. We happen to entertain people by putting on a baseball game every day, every 70 times a year. But we're focused on what are we doing in between each inning, what's going up on our video board, what sound effects are we playing, because it's what we can control. And so making sure if you're in sports, you're really in the entertainment industry, unless you're fortunate enough to actually be coaching or playing or be on a medical staff that works for a sports team, your job is not it's to care what's going on the field, because that's what your fans care about. And they're going to ask you those questions. So you don't want to have no answer when they go, oh, what did you think about, that player's double the other night? You want to be able to be like, yeah, that was a wonderful play. And we can't believe that's the one that won the game for us. We're so excited. But by the same token, you have to be invested in what they're doing and the entertainment that they're bringing and the value, because entertainment is discretionary spending for everybody. And it's probably one of the first things that gets cut when times get tough. And so by making sure that they have just an excellent time from the second they pull into your parking lot to the second they get in their car and leave, it's what's going to keep people coming back.
Yeah, so the Cubs aren't sending Chris Bryant back to Double A anytime soon. Is that what I'm hearing?
Probably not. He'd have to get injured and then come back on a rehab assignment, and I don't want to wish anybody injuries. Those aren't fun.
No, I remember living in Knoxville when he was playing there. It was fun to watch him play in Double A for a little while. So you go out, Baylor, and find partners to support the Smokies in the community, and like you talk about, For the Smokies, it's more about getting fans to the game than it is about player management. So why are those partners and those partnerships so important to what you guys are trying to do as a club?
Well, for the Tennessee Smokies, like I said, we're primarily an entertainment company. And like I said, we entertain people by putting on a baseball game 70 times each year. And then I also think of us as a marketing and advertising firm. We want to work with primarily we work with small businesses that are in the Knoxville community. We do have national sponsors that have large presences over multiple states or even the entire country. But at the end of the day, when we work with State Farm, for instance, we're working with local agents, and it's about giving back. For the Smokies, it's about giving back to our community and seeing our community be successful and thrive, and the businesses in our community be successful and thrive. And so when we're out there talking to whether it's a State Farm agent or we work with Food City, they're a large grocery chain out here in East Tennessee. It's about saying, hey, we've got a captive audience, average game time. We're looking at about 2.5, 3 hours. So we've got somebody who's captive in our audience for 2.5, 3 hours. And we want to turn the people who come to us for entertainment into your customers. And so that's really what we're doing. We try to make it a very symbiotic relationship. And, there's a whole reason, why my title is the partnership activation manager, not the corporate sponsor activation manager or anything like that, because we really do look at it as our corporate sponsors and the dollars that they're spending with us are helping us buy bobbleheads to give away to fans and make improvements to the stadium and things like that, or invest in technology that helps get fans in the door quicker. But we also want them to value what we're doing for them and say, oh yeah, that guy did call me and he bought an insurance policy because he heard my name at a Smokies game, or I'm losing my train of thought and I apologize. But for us, it's very much they help us, but we are there to help them, and we don't ever want to take on a corporate partner and have it be completely one-sided, where it's like, oh yeah, we got their money and we put up a pretty billboard, and then nobody ever called them again. If that happens, we've lost.
Oh yeah, and I'll chime in here too, because the big thing is you work so hard and you make these deals with these partners, but at the end of the day, you got to deliver for them. They don't have unlimited budgets in their marketing department to spend, so they chose to spend it with your organization. So you've got to give them a return on that investment. So activations are key to get them to drive activity back to either their locations or to their brand, to their social media. Our job is to be that engine or that megaphone to support these brands and make them synonymous with our brands. And you want that cohesive unit. So an activation position is extremely important to everything that you do as a business organization, for sure.
Yeah, Kyle, I'm going to stay with you for a second and talk about a little different aspect of the sports side of this. So let's talk a little bit about the talent on the field, or in your case, in the ice. We see the announcements when players sign a new contract, when they get traded, when they go to a new team, whatever it might be. What kind of work is going on behind the scenes with your staff to help make sure that you're keeping the players you want to keep, that you're acquiring new talent? What does that kind of personnel management side of the business look like?
So I'm fortunate in my role. I got to be pretty close with a lot of our hockey operations staff. So we have a staff of maybe 15 to 20 folks that are really just dedicated to kind of the business side of our hockey team. And one of the areas that's obviously growing a lot these days is analytics. So anybody that's looking at a statistics degree, or maybe you're really good in math, that's something you can easily translate into a job in sports. Analytics is just growing leaps and bounds these days. And we're doing it on our side, not just on tickets and business, but also obviously on the sport, the hockey side as well. But the one thing about those guys is they are very, very tight-lipped. As as much as friends as we are, and we're standing at the water cooler or we're in their office talking about a renovation of the locker room or something like that, they don't tell you a whole lot. So it's actually really, really good. I mean, we have the winningest GM in all the NHL, and David Poyle, and his son Brian Poyle is the assistant GM. And it's one of those things that you just have to have faith and trust in what they're doing, and that really helps your overall brand identity, because David Poyle is just a winner. He's a great human being, and he's got a great eye for talent, and he's really what's grown our brand. As much as our business side has grown over the past couple of years, it wouldn't be what it was if it wasn't for our hockey brand being what it is. So as much as you can't control the players, can't control those things, but having the right people in place, and it really builds a trust within your community and your organization. And as fun as it is about making big trades and acquiring big players, I think our organization does a great job of keeping our staff clued in. So right before usually big things happen, they'll call a quick meeting and get all the staff together and be like, hey, here's what we just did. We just traded Shea Weber for PK Subban. This is what PK is all about. Here's what we're going to help him build his brand and extend our brand. Or we just acquired Matt Duchene via free agency, and he's a big investment in our organization, and we think he's the missing piece down the center, and he's going to provide us depth, and we're going to be an offensive firepower this year. So again, they'll bring us in, clue us in on what's going on, but really it's already happened at that point. But it's a lot of fun to be part of, and it's definitely exciting because, again, most of us get into sports because we're a fan of that sport, and being in tune with what's really going on the ice or on the field really just helps what you do every single day, be that much more valuable because you feel like you're making a point there.
Yeah, so communication is really key there.
Absolutely.
Ashley, the Titans have 8 home games, I guess a couple preseason games every year. I imagine that you're working more than 8 days a year. What else is going on at the stadium that you're working on throughout the course of the year?
Yeah, well, actually right now at Nissan Stadium, despite everything that's going on, had that not happened, we would be hosting soccer games back to back as well. So that's something that I was very excited to see how that was going to roll out. But Nashville SC is the new MLS team in town, and we right now are hosting them for the next couple of years as home base, which is super exciting. So while there's not football, we have soccer to think about. This year we were on par to actually have the most concerts that Nissan Stadium has hosted, I think, since the stadium has been built. And so while we're, again, not necessarily prepping the football field for football, we are prepping it for concerts, big CMA Fest. And then there is just a lot that goes into thinking about the upcoming season. Very different from hockey, which I'm used to, but now I'm seeing that we don't have 40 games and 70 concerts. We've got 8 football games to get it right, 4 concerts to get it right. So there's a lot of pre-planning that kind of goes into that and making sure that we can roll it out. The Titans as an organization, while it's been around for a while, it's in a nice swing up as far as kind of making changes and revitalizing what has been sort of that game day experience. So right now it's actually a little bit different, and it's just as busy as if Corona had not happened, because we're kind of prepping just as we're going to have fans in the building. I mean, obviously we're altering that a little bit, but there's a lot of things that we can kind of look at and investigate how we can do it better, what we can change, how we communicate that to the fans as to why we're doing it and why we want to do that for them. So there's a lot going on, actually. And now, obviously that scope has changed with where we're at right now, but just the amount of work that goes into it from a teamwork perspective as well, trying to figure out, okay, what is sponsorship doing for the upcoming season, ticket sales, season ticket members, marketing, what are the big plans, and how do they all mesh together, and how do we roll them out to make sense to the fans, to the team when we go into that upcoming season.
Yeah, definitely a lot going on in the background. I appreciate you guys all kind of sharing that. Something I think that Baylor touched on, and I'm going to throw this one out to all 3 of you. So whoever would like to hop in first, go right ahead. But I think, Baylor, you mentioned, you guys are working in a field where Games are at night. Games are on the weekends. I imagine you're not all working a pretty normal 8 to 5 or 9 to 5 kind of job. So what does your schedule kind of look like, and how do you prioritize, friends, family, whatever else is important to you? How do you make sure that you find time to find that balance?
For me, and again, I work with 30 other people who are hugely dedicated to the experience that we're giving our fans. But on a game day, I'm getting there anytime between 8:30 and 10, sometimes as late as noon on the weekends. During the day, I'm doing things that all the behind the scenes things that get us ready for the game night, and coordinating with our partners that we're going to have out that night to make sure that they have the best possible experience when they get there. And then by the time the gates open, which our Smokies home games typically start at 7 o'clock at night, so we're opening gates between 5:30 and 6 in the evening. By that point in time, it really is about what can we do to make this fan experience the greatest fan experience that they can have. So whether I need to be pouring beer or helping an usher, I'm really fortunate in that my role can be very varied, and so I'm never doing the same thing 2 games in a row. But on a game day, I'm not getting home until 11 o'clock midnight after the game. And so that means for me, when the team isn't in town, especially during the season, I do my very best to make sure that when 5 o'clock hits, I'm wrapping up my day and getting ready to come home and spend time with my husband. I do my socializing on the weekends that the team isn't in town, and I really just try to make sure that my friends and my family know that I am available, but they all know my schedule. And another fortunate thing that I have with the Smokies is that I am able to bring my friends and family out to games. And so they can see me, and wave at me as I'm running down the concourse from one thing to another during a game. And that's been kind of a fun way to get to spend time with people and bring them into my world.
Yeah, I'll chime in next. So, I think I'm very fortunate that the organization I work for, we're very much in tune with trying to make sure everyone is clued in and happy, and this is your work family. Again, like everyone's saying on this call, we are working an insane amount of hours. Like I mentioned earlier, we're the 6th busiest concert venue in the U.S. We do countless other events. We have a rehearsal hall that's attached, so we have clients in there all the time. We have a restaurant attached. They do private dinners and different things like that. So again, we're constantly busy and always doing something. But the big thing is just to make sure that it's very important to enjoy the folks that you work with, because in this industry you're going to see them a lot. So really being able to enjoy the folks you work with, and we do things like happy hours, and we'll bring in lunch every once in a while, just to make sure that our staff knows that they're appreciated, that we spend time together, get to know each other, and things like that when there happens to be not such a busy time. But from a work-life balance, I'm very fortunate. I have a wife and 3 kids at home, and they are very understanding of my schedule and what goes into that. But at the same time, my son's the biggest hockey fan on the planet. We had season tickets. He loves coming to the games. My wife and other kids come when they can. It's just one of those. It's kind of who we are. We're the Preds family in the neighborhood. Everyone knows that. And it's just it's fun to be that person. But again, it's definitely a commitment, and definitely takes a lot of time.
And I think that's where work, like a good work culture, comes into play as well, because the hard part, and it's not hard. I mean, the great part about sports and entertainment is that it's just fun. So a lot of times you find yourself working more than maybe you should. Maybe you find yourself volunteering and learning new things and just wanting to be there. Kyle kind of touched on it. Like if you find yourself at the office and the door's just open, well, come downstairs and come greet the fans and check in and see what's going on. So I think it's very important to have a really good work culture. And that way it's all positive while you're there. But at the same time, it is definitely tough to kind of make sure that you're balancing that, because work is so much fun when you are in this industry and you have a great work culture. But at the same time, it is great too that we can all invite our friends and our families to see what we do, and get excited about it together.
We hear from a lot of employers around the state when they're hiring college students about the importance of those soft skills. It's very clear today that all three of you are in a customer service oriented business where the customer comes first. It's very clear that you all very much feel passionate about that. So obviously, I would imagine that when you're looking to bring a new person into your organization, being able to look someone in the eye and have a conversation and communicate well. Kyle, you mentioned Ticketmaster goes down and you got to be able to problem solve. That's one of those soft skills that students may not learn in a classroom. Like, what kind of skills are you looking for, and how can students kind of get those experiences?
I actually honestly had to Google what the specific soft skills kind of categories were. And actually, I mean, they all make so much sense. Like you just talked about a second ago, problem solving skills is a huge one for us. But then other ones that make, even more sense, teamwork. We are very much, as the team is on the ice, we try to build our organization like we are a team. And, it's kind of cliche, but truly that is the way we view ourselves, that we are a team, and we're there to make sure that every fan that comes to the building has a great experience. And, that's just as important as what happens on the ice. Communication is probably the next biggest one for us. We have to make sure what left hand knows what the right hand's doing, because there's so many things going on. We're moving at such a fast pace most of the time with all these events that we've got to make sure that everyone's communicating, everyone's on the same page. And the last one I'll hit on is being able to adapt. I think it was Ashley that hit on it earlier. Just you have these plans, you're prepared all day long, but something's going to happen, then you're just going to have to be able to adapt to that situation. And that's something I think we do really well, but that's definitely something we look for in potential candidates for jobs.
And at the end of the day, it's a people business. As much as we are in the business of entertaining folks, this is a people business. You've got to understand there's so many different types of people, different types of fans that are coming in and out with different expectations. And I think that, the biggest being adaptable, and that kind of then just falls into all the other sort of major categories that I think people consider as a soft skill. It really makes a difference. It doesn't, I think I could argue that if you come to the table with not necessarily any experience in sports, but you come with a good attitude, you've got to have some experience, but it doesn't have to be in sports. But if it's something that, if we're people business, again, I think that a lot of these things can be relatable and adaptable in the sports world, and you can apply that for sure. So and again, not to say it again, but I really do think that any experience that you have, don't, just because maybe it is not in sports or it's quote unquote just the usher, like that's not what it is. That's a very great experience to bring to the table. And again, to your point too, you just don't know what people are looking for, but I do think that just having good people skills and being aware is major.
I totally agree with what you just said, Ashley, that, yeah, the people skills, the being adaptable, soft skills are so hard to teach somebody. You either have them or you don't. You either like working with the public and you don't mind working with that person who asks you where the restroom is when there's a great big sign right above you with an arrow that points to your left that says restroom. You're either the type of person who goes, well, there's actually one right to your left with a big old smile on your face, or, you can't do that. And, any place you can get that sort of experience, anytime you can go out and work with new people who are different from you, because anybody and everybody is going to walk into a sporting event or stadium for a concert or whatnot, and being able to make sure that you treat everybody equally and like you value them, whether they look like they walked out of the local ditch or whether they look like, they just stepped off a private plane. Being able to treat all those people with dignity and respect and a smile on your face is so important.
Yeah, absolutely. We appreciate all three of you sharing some insight into your specific careers and the sports entertainment industry as a whole. We end all of these webinars with three questions, though, so you can think outside the box of what you currently do. Ashley, we'll start with you for these, and I'm going to kind of go ahead and wrap the first two questions into one. But what is something that you know now that you didn't know while you were in college that you wish you had known, and what is your biggest piece of advice for students?
It truly is the same answer. I actually thought about this, and I will never forget. I've said countless times in college, I don't understand why they say it's about who you know, who you know, who you know. And meanwhile, I'm in school. I'm trying to do every radio shift. I'm trying to be on every TV newscast. I'm trying to do, take every class. And and in my mind at the time, that was the only thing that mattered. It's just about, this experience that I can show someone. And it's not necessarily about, who you know. And I kind of equated the who you know to like the cool kids club. And I think it's because I didn't know anybody at the time. And I'm just trying to like, build up something, build up credibility, a resume. And at the end of the day, it is, as much as it is about experience, it is about who you know. And I don't like to say it like that. I should say your relationships, the people that you are learning from, that you are teaching, that you are growing from. And it really is about who you know. And those relationships,
Networking, right?
you're building up, and networking 1,000%. Like I fell into networking, and then I realized right away that that's what I was doing. And I will never forget, I had one of those like Oprah aha moments one day and I think it was when I made the transition into the Preds from TV production. And I thought, I got this because it was not only my experience, but the relationships I had built with the folks at the arena. And I felt like it was meant to be. So I think, as much as I don't want to say it's about who you know, it's all about who you know.
Mhm. Kyle, what about you? What's something that you know now that you wish you had known while you were in school, and your biggest piece of advice for students?
Yeah, I think Ashley hit it pretty hard there. The network is so huge. Like I completely agree. I'm not the best networker on the planet. I can freely admit that. And Ashley knows that from our days working together. But another piece of that too, I think, is that really helped me, and I just really lucked up and stumbled into it, was just getting your foot in the door. I mean, whether it's an internship during college or just reaching out to folks, or when you go to an event, just talk to random people that are on the staff that you see just standing around. I lucked into that internship I had when I was a junior in college, and it was basically because all my buddies were getting internships for the summer, and I was kind of like, oh no, what am I supposed to do? So then I started looking left and right, and again, it's by faith that it all happened, and it's just fantastic the way it worked out. But probably a little more preparation, and there's plenty of opportunities for internships and stuff like that out there. But once you get your foot in the door, make an impact, make your name known. But really, it's just getting that foot in the door is a big thing for me.
And not to interrupt, but to think through that too. Kyle said that, and it reminds me of when I was a senior in college, and my former boss in TV production, she was there speaking to our class, and she said, "I'm Edie Hoback. I produce music television for MTV." And I didn't know what I wanted to do, but she said that. And I said to myself, I want to be her. But I was so scared to talk to her. And I had mentioned that to a professor of mine. There was like a break in the panel, and she forced me to go and talk to Edie. And that is what led me. I had my first job out of college 2 weeks before I graduated because of this one meeting that I had that I was scared to death of. And that turned into a 7-year job right out of college. So you never know what getting your foot in the door looks like. And if you kind of see an opportunity, take it, because had I not said anything to my professor, I would have never talked to Edie. And I guarantee you, I would have never gotten that job.
Yeah, all really good advice. Baylor, what about you? What's something that you didn't know while you were in school that you know now, and a piece of advice for students?
I think, perseverance and just not being afraid to go after what you love and what you want. If you can dream it, and if there's something you're like, oh man, I wish I could do that professionally, whether it's working in sports or whether it's producing art or developing a computer program. persevere and really go after your goals. Sometimes you're going to have to find things to sustain you, but don't be afraid of the hard work, because at the end of the day, you're going to look back and you're going to go, oh, I did that. That's so cool.
Awesome. Well, we ended these by asking all of the panelists across the webinar series one question. And so it's pretty clear that you all really enjoy what you like, or you all really enjoy what you do, and that you're all really good at what you do. But if you weren't working in sports or the sports entertainment industry, and you could do anything where time didn't matter, talent didn't matter, money didn't matter, you could be doing anything else right now. Baylor, we'll start with you this time. What would you be doing?
Oh, I thought a lot about this question, and I think I'd probably still be in some other form of entertainment, or I'd want to do something where I got to travel, like be a stewardess or something like that. I've been doing what I do for so long that it's so hard for me to imagine doing anything else.
Great. Kyle, what about you?
Gosh, if nothing else mattered, I love to be handy. I love to do projects around my house. I mean, they never turn out the way they're supposed to, but I'd love to be doing something, building something with my hands. That's kind of my release from everyday life.
Okay, I like it. Ashley?
I would say my initial reaction was to own a coffee shop, and I have no idea why, except for I just absolutely love coffee, and it would be the complete opposite. But I know me, and I would go back to, just all the years in high school and in college and wanting to be, and the term is very outdated, but an MTV VJ, a video jockey. So I was in some world, I would still be promoting music videos and having a good time doing that.
I had to explain what TRL was to a coworker earlier this year. I've just started to realize like how old I am in comparison to some of my other coworkers, and I'm like, oh, so you were just born about the time I graduated from high school. You do, and they'll ask me questions, and I'm just like, you don't remember the 90s at all because you weren't there.
The students listening into this are probably Googling TRL right now because they find it.
We used to watch that in homeroom in junior high, and awesome. And I loved Carson Daly.
Well, don't worry, I'm going to bring it back apparently with my second version. So just get ready.
Can I revise my answer? Can I co-host that with you? Because that would be fun.
Done and done.
Perfect.
Well, there you go. We created a new partnership today, and we brought back TRL. I think this is successful. Well, I want to thank Ashley, Kyle, Baylor for joining us today and sharing your insights into your careers and your experience, and providing this information for students, because this is a field that, while I am a huge sports fan, and like I said, I've been to all of your events and support all three of your teams. It's not something that I know a whole lot about in terms of all the things that are going on outside of what I'm watching in the stadium or what I'm watching on TV. So thank you all three so much for being here today.
Thank you.
Our pleasure.
Thank you.
And for our students listening in today, thanks so much for listening. We hope that you are enjoying the webinar series for the tnAchieves virtual community service. We hope that you will watch more of them at www.tnachieves.org. And that if you'll hang on for just another couple seconds, you'll get information to make sure that this counts towards that requirement. Thank you so much for listening today, and we hope that you have a great day. Thank you for watching this installment of the tnAchieves virtual community service webinar. Your attendance will be automatically recorded, and your 1 hour of community service is being credited to you. Please click Submit on this screen to ensure that your attendance is recorded for you. For this community service opportunity, you will not need to complete the community service form. We hope you found this opportunity to be engaging and informative. Please watch more of this series by visiting www.tnachieves.org. We hope you have a great day. Thank you.